The MTG podcast is a virtual space for women and minorities in the tech and creative industries.
Tune in as we explore inspirational,
educational,
and community insights
through different perspectives, expanding the diverse cultures and societies that reflect us.
We're more than a designer.
We're more than our name badge.
We're more than the work we produce. Welcome to the More Than Graphics podcast.
We're that tribe.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. It's the More Than Graphics podcast. What's up?
Ooh, it's officially spring, too.
I know, right? This is like what blowing my brain.
Spring has sprung.
How you springing, Cicely?
I mean, there's not much spring in my sprung, but I'm going. I'm here. I'm existing.
You sprouting. You so sprung.
I'm sprouting. Yes, I'm not springing. Ain't nothing springing around here. But I'm sprouting. Slow growth.
She sprung like she got it.
That's for the summertime. When my body becomes my own again, then I can be sprung.
Right. I know there's a lot going on with that right now. So I'm sure you'll be ready to sprout like all the things.
Yes. Yeah. Very ready.
Well, for those who don't know these random women words, we're just talking about random sprung and spring things. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Cicely.
And we are 2/3 of More Than Graphics podcast. Shout out to our podcast sister, Priscilla, who's unable to be with us tonight, but we're thinking of you, especially in these responses and all the things. But tonight's topic is going to be a very quick, easy, but also fun as we talk about this theme of nostalgia. So before we get started, if you're tuning in from any place, whether you're on Facebook, you're on LinkedIn, you're on YouTube, give us a shout. Let us know in the comments that you're here, that you're listening. We really appreciate that. Open, honest conversations, just letting us know that you're listening and you're tuning in. So tonight's topic, again, we're echoing on the continued conversation around nostalgia. If you did not listen to the early episode of Nostalgia featuring Sydney Swisher, viral TikTok, fine painting artist, amazing conversation around tech and AI and creativity, right? Using AI as a form of creativity, and also using AI as a way to leverage your own creativity. Like, it's just so wicked. That whole conversation is wild. And it was the perfect way to kick off Women's History Month. So tonight's topic is an echo of that: tech throwback, nostalgic innovations that shape today's creative landscape. So we're talking about nostalgic tech innovations. We're talking about nostalgia marketing campaigns. I mean, we can go all the way back to like the Coca-Cola Santa Claus kind of, we can do it all. Like, we can do that. And then obviously some diverse voices in the tech history spaces. So I would love to be able to kind of kick this off maybe with an audience question. You want to just start with that, Cicely?
Let's do it.
All right. So our first question is, what tech innovation or gadget do you miss the most from your childhood, and how has it influenced your work in the tech or creative industry? You want to take a step?
Oh, you know what? This literally has nothing to do necessarily with work, but it is something that I miss. Like, we were just kind of talking about this, like the AIM and Yahoo Messenger. Like, now I guess it's Slack, or like Facebook Messenger, but like nobody will understand. Like, people of a certain age will understand. Millennials will understand. Like, right, making the status for your AIM and like putting an away message, putting song lyrics. Oh my gosh, it was wild time. But like, AIM was ahead of its time with that like real time messaging.
Yeah.
Also with like, having an away message and having statuses and things like that, like, and being on the go. So like before cell phones are really like the gadgets that they are now, which is like everything all in one, like Palm Pilots and all
right.
That. Before cell phones were really everything, I think there was the Sidekick, the T-Mobile Sidekick, and that was kind of the closest that you would get to being able to be mobile with AIM, because otherwise you got to wait to get to a desktop, which is crazy.
Right.
So now Slack is an app that you can use on your phone. Slack is, a desktop as well. But
yes.
I think like it's really cool to think about AIM and Yahoo Messenger being the precursors to Slack, and like I just kind of miss that real time and fun. And no one used AIM for work, probably. I hope not. No one should have been using AIM for work, but it was just a really nice social at home kind of version of Slack, and I miss that. I think it was good times.
I personally, yes, like for me, AIM and a bit do you remember your first AOL name? Like that's always a question people ask now on social.
I don't remember my very first one, but I remember like my last one. Or like I had two, because you had like one that was like family and friends, and then
right,
you had, like, another one.
right.
So yeah, I had two. Oh my god, I'm not even gonna say it out loud because I'm gonna die. So I'll say one of them. I will say one. So the like the everyone that everyone knew, it was Esa Morena 88. Which basically just means that black girl 88.
Right.
Living my best life at the time.
I love this. Okay, mine was Attache 1215. And I thought it was the coolest thing because, I was in my French mode, like doing the whole thing. And I thought it was so funny because there is if you're in the area, sometimes you listen to a show, Z-Rock 103. They had like Freak Daddy in the morning and all the things. Shout out to Freak Daddy because you're still kicking. Absolutely love. There was one moment where you could email them an answer based upon like whatever group discussion, similar to what we're doing right now. I got up so early in the morning from listening to that conversation to respond in email, and they said my screen name on the air. And I was just like, I don't know if that's allowed because my mom don't even know that I'm up right now, but
you had your moment of fame. I love it.
I mean, I felt so large and in charge from that moment. It was so funny. I was like, I was mentioned on Zero, and I'm only 15. Like,
I'm just a kid, and they mentioned me and what I had to say. It's wonderful.
Right. I just thought it was really funny. I remember those moments. Dial-up internet, right? We just did a reel on this, right? Comparing dial-up internet to the progression of women in women's history, like overall, like speed me up.
Yes, thank God for the speed in both aspects. We needed it in both aspects.
You ain't lying. So I just love the fact that we're, thinking of these tech innovations. I remember the evolution of karaoke overall right now, like the old karaoke versus what we see now. What was the other one? Oh, tabletop gaming. So, and that's kind of coming back, which I kind of like.
I think it goes in waves. Like, I think gaming is one of those things that like is constantly, like, we get new games, but we always kind of go back to the same things. Like, people are still playing marbles. Kids are still like, playing like jacks and stuff like that. But it's just, they're getting reinvented and getting more like modernized. But the same things keep coming back, which I like.
Yeah, I'm totally down with that. That was a great first question. That was really good. So I guess we talk about this like nostalgic innovations. We kind of want to explore how technology has really evolved from gadgets and tools to modern innovations in tech and really kind of the creative industry overall. Obviously, we've come leaps and bounds since the introduction of the iPhone, even T9 texting, right? Like
T9.
Oh man, we've come leaps and bounds from having to go somewhere to access things and just being able to instantly access things. And so, we talk about what's your favorite, tech tool, your most nostalgic tech tool out there. It's clearly gaming for me, and the way that we've been able to go from POG to virtual reality, how we've been able to jump so much further in the past decade than we have been in the past 20 years, right?
Right.
So I'm just really kind of always impressed by the way that technology continues to thrive and move forward. And even so, more so for, again, women. We talk about that Women's History Month component for this episode, how we continue to kind of be more more visible and more loud about our innovations and the things that we've been able to progress forward as women in this industry. So yeah, like, do you feel like for you, Cicely, like being in the med tech field, the progression of technology from where you started to even now, has that been a little bit more of a dramatic shift?
It's not been dramatic in hospital, but it's been dramatic like in terms of remote work. So like the remote work healthcare scene has really blown up, which I think is awesome. But like hospital, it takes a while. Like hospitals, like we talk about this in medical all the time, that like once there's evidence for something, it can still take 10 to 20 years for it to even come in, like, to common practice.
Right.
Because even if it's proven today, or where they've done all these studies over the last 20 years that show like, hey, this way of doing things is actually better, they've then got to start teaching that in schools. You then got to start indoctrinating that into people who've been working in the medical field for the last 20, 30, and 40 years. So there's always like a lag in time. But I feel, and I think largely because of COVID, that moving to remote, like virtual care, virtual communities for women's health especially, has really taken off since 2019, 2020, because we didn't have a choice. And I think at least in that aspect, healthcare has really stepped up in moving forward. Like places that I thought would never get virtual care options have them now, and they do them like regularly. Like they still see a few people a week versus like, this is something, they would have been so resistant. Like I've heard companies say that like, oh, that's not something we're going to do. We're not going to put our money towards that. Then COVID happened and now you had to. And then people, they're getting positive feedback. Like I feel especially the millennial and below demographic, we don't want to go to the office. We don't have to. Like we ain't got time for that. I like have no desire. Like if I could do OB appointments from home, I'd be doing them from home. And obviously at this point, like it's getting to the point where I have to go into office because I have to do like non-stress tests and stuff like that. And I have to do ultrasound. So clearly I know that that's something that has to be in person. But even if I got to the point where like you were able to go to like have ultrasound techs come to your house, and then they were able to perform the visit, you'd still see the doctor face to face, and they give you the reading, later that night or the next day. I mean, hey, I wouldn't be opposed to it. And I think obviously it depends on the person, it depends on the situation, but I just like the fact that we're now getting more options. And even I saw this the other day, which I thought was awesome. I keep seeing this. It comes up, targeted ads. Keeps coming up on Facebook. There's something called like Blueberry Pediatrics, which is like a monthly ped subscription. So if your kid needs a sick visit, or you just need like some antibiotics sent, something like that. I think you can do at home like swabs and they'll tell you where to go, but they send you like a thermometer, like a welcome box with kind of everything you need to get started, like for sick kids, but it's $20 a month. And I think it's like unlimited kids, like all the kids in your household have access to it. Like it's crazy.
Wow.
Because, especially with little kids, sometimes you just need to talk to someone and be like, okay, this is not normal. Their fever's a little bit high, but I don't think we're at the ER or urgent care stage yet. And then especially like, in my case, about to have 2 newborns at the same time, dragging them both out if only one of them is sick is just not the most feasible thing to do, especially in the middle of the night, or even your bigger kids. It's still, if you can avoid going to the ER or going to the urgent care, like that's an awesome way of doing things. And I'm so glad that that's happening now. Like and they're probably about to get me because every time I go to their website, I'm like, ooh, such a good idea. They're so smart. So even if I don't join that particular like pediatric group, I still think it's an awesome idea. And the fact that didn't even exist 30 years ago is crazy. 20 years ago, really, I'm sure somebody was kind of doing it, but it wasn't common. Like even 5 years ago, it was not common to go to see a virtual pediatrician or to have virtual visits for just about anything. So I just think I'm so happy that in the remote space, in the virtual space for healthcare, that we've really, by force, have had to grow. But I think it's been more beneficial for me as a patient, for the patients that I see, for healthcare overall. It's been more beneficial. Excuse me.
Yeah, I love that. And I also too, like when I think about how such a huge difference between forcing someone, quote unquote, to be more virtual, like up and come with the times, versus actually having to do it for your own namesake. Like COVID really shaped that game where people who were even on the fence about, using more telecommunications or going in that route for medical care of any sort, now we're forced to, because that's the way they could access their patients and access their people and their demographic. But I think through all of that experience, it just kind of helped us lean on that technology a little bit more. So a lot of people, jump ship because they really needed to, that it was a necessity. So I feel like sometimes out of those necessity moments, we find that things are not as tough or as hard as it was, and that we can actually lean on these to improve the quality of life that we all desire. So yeah, right on. I love that. That's a great response.
Yeah, and they're there to make our life easier. Like, and I think that's kind of the thing too, that even my mom, so my mom is considered a baby boomer, like by age. She's like one of the younger of the baby boomers, so like maybe born in like that last 3 to 4 years of being a baby boomer. But she's always been very, like, she reminds me of a Gen X. She has a lot of Gen X characteristics, but she's a lot, like, always been into technology. She's had like a pager, she's had the Palm Pilot, she's always had the gadgets. So for her, she was kind of resistant at first, but she's like, I'll give it a try and see. And now she loves telehealth. Anytime she can do telehealth instead of physically going into the office, she'll do that. So I love to see it like cross generations. For my grandparents' age, I very much understand, like, it's just not for them, and that's okay. They are of the generation like where we just have to see people. It doesn't make sense to me unless I'm seeing somebody in person. They're touching me, I'm touching them, like we're speaking to each other face to face. And I understand that. But me, I'm all like, no, if we don't have to do it, let's not.
Same. Like, put me online, please. put me online, like for real.
Yes. I'll leave my camera on and don't mind me looking crazier with my, head wrap on or whatever.
Right?
But I'm gonna at least warn you, like I didn't get dressed up for you, but I'm here.
We gonna pull a full, was it Risa Tisa? We gonna pull a full Risa Tisa on that one. I'm gonna show up in my hair curl, my rollers, all the things. I love it.
Right. So funny.
Okay, so nostalgia and marketing campaigns, right? Some marketing campaigns that I have looked at in the past that are very nostalgic to me are like those early Nickelodeon, cartoons, those elements that made kids want to watch. I remember, I don't know how many episodes I have watched of All That and Double Dare and Legends of the Hidden Temple and like all those like early things that would engage our minds to watch people go through these different types of trials and tribulations to get to a prize. That type of campaigning is no longer like really around anymore on that level. I don't think it is. We see stuff like that more for like, I'm trying to think of the exact name, but there's like one TV show that like, you go through, was it like American Ninja Warrior kind of style?
Yeah.
Like that is the equivalent to what I'm seeing now, but none of the other stuff. Like I have to think about a puzzle and then I get to run. Like
right, and it's not for kids. I don't see that on the kid level. So I see it for people like American Ninja Warriors, like people our age, like millennials and Gen Z, but I'm not seeing like for little kids, like the Gen A kids, Gen Alpha kids. I'm not seeing anything for them that resembles the same thing. They have a lot of music stuff, a lot of Miss Rachel, a lot of Gracie's Corner, a lot of like very like musically inclined things, but like you said, those things where you're using your brain solving puzzles. Like remember on the like Legends of the Hidden Temple, you'd be solving it with them too. You'd be like, no, it's that
right,
that puzzle piece over here. So very interactive, and I don't see that happening as much in like that. I guess would be like the 6 to 12-year-old age range. I don't see that happening. The little kids, yes, like there's plenty of music and there's trap music for kids.
Right. Oh my God.
But I don't see that like extending into the elementary and middle school ages.
Yeah, totally don't. Like, and it really kind of comes again to the attestant of technology, like the rapid growth of how to gain a young person's attention span enough even to just embed the idea or the thought and then off it goes again.
Right, because TV shows were almost 30 full minutes back then. Like you had commercials, but I still think if you added up the minutes, you'd probably be at like 25 to 26 minutes of actual TV content. Like all that, I could sit and watch all that, and I would like hold it to go to the bathroom until they went on commercial break because I was that into whatever.
Right. That was definitely for me. There was like another, obviously I mentioned the Coca-Cola campaigns, how a lot of them are still being reused to this very day for the nostalgia. So I love the fact that kind of keeps circling back around. There's some things that just never change, right? And they do it intentionally to kind of bring back those nostalgic feelings for
polar bears. Polar bears are always like every Christmas they bring those back. And I'm like, oh, this reminds me of when I was like 8 years old.
I know, right? I'm trying to think the Hershey's Kisses that are for the holidays or like the peppermint swirls or whichever. I love that because it reminds me of the handbells, and I listen to a lot of the classic, holiday music with a lot of what I don't know what to call that, church bell kind of feel, and that kind of always brings up those kind of feelings. And then what was the other one I was thinking of? As far as like we talked about a little bit about TV for kids, but also in the realm of like adult entertainment, like what is that? Nowadays it's like it's the Freaknik documentary that I had to go Google the cliff notes for because I didn't know what the heck that was. And then and then when I found that I was like, nope, never mind. Click, ching.
No thanks.
Hard pass. But the other one,
it was the generation before us.
Right, it was.
That was Gen X. We ain't got nothing to do with that.
I'm just glad I was like that was my jam. But I looked at it, I was like, huh?
There's a lot going on.
Maybe too much going on. But other like ones that I loved that I thought was like really cool, all the Nike stuff, all the original, the Jordans, like all of that type of atmosphere that is still very much around and in our sphere. So I just kind of want to like, bring up those kind of cool marketing nostalgia moments that we've gone through. Sorry, let me stop. Was there anything you wanted to add to that, Cicely?
No, like I said, I think that's a very good observation. And like, again, that for kids that, you know, are the same age that we would have been when all this was happening. I just don't see, and like the Family Double Dare, like I think, what is it? Family Feud is as close as we get, but Family Double Dare, it was like kids and adults. So it was always like adult and kid appropriate. And Family Feud is like, oh, it's a little, you know, not for kids. Right.
But okay, so like, okay, diverse voices in tech history, contributions of diverse individuals in tech history. Obviously, I'm thinking of like, you know, some of the bigger people in the tech space. We talk about, for me in marketing, you know, Neil Patel and some of these louder voices. Melissa, I forgot her name, the co-owner of Canva. Okay. Like, these are the people that I think of that have made contributions over time to get where they are. I mean, there's plenty of tech giants out there now that wouldn't be where it is without the voices of their predecessors, right? The people before them. So I just think it's really cool that we, you know, when we talk about nostalgia, we're looking at those people that have made the bigger waves so that other people can make bigger waves, et cetera, down to us, right? So I want to keep that in mind when we talk about nostalgia overall, because sometimes we forget that, again, we talk about being in our own fishbowl sometimes, right? Being in the space, in the tech space for women in general, being a creative in spaces. Sometimes we get caught in the fishbowl and we kind of forget there's been eons of people before us that have tried or been in the same similar situations and either found a solution or they found another pivot, right? And that's kind of how we learn, is through the nostalgia, through the lessons of other people. So I guess we can share our last question before we wrap this up. Let's see, what is this here? In what ways do you believe that tech and creative industries can continue to honor and celebrate the contributions of diverse voices from tech history while also launching new innovations and ideas? And I kind of, the reason why I'm saying any of this or kind of bringing this up again is that same conversation. One echo ripples into another. So I do very much believe that, you know, tech and creative industries continue to honor and celebrate the steps of other people before us. Everything from Susan B. Anthony to Harriet Tubman to, you know, Madam Walker to all these giants of people who started out in a very tight space, who were able to, you know, continue on their path of their destination because they were leaning on the ideas and ideologies of others who had done similar things in similar spaces. So, yeah. I definitely think that there's new ways for us. I'm thinking about, what's her name? The Naturalicious brand for natural curls. I can't think of her name.
I know the brand. I'm just bad with names.
Yeah, I know, it's the worst. But I was thinking of her specifically because I think she's like the record holder for a woman to hold a patent for black hair specifically. She is like the GOAT. I was just learning about that from a different creative over on LinkedIn. I thought that was the coolest thing. Like, things like that she would not have been able to do that because she thought of it. She saw someone else have that idea. She saw someone else with maybe a similar product, or she thought of something that she could do on her own that was distinctly different than what other people were doing, and leveled up her game that way. So I think that's such a cool thing. And I try to do that myself in my own way through my business, through Octane as a entrepreneur, multi-entrepreneur, like, is that a thing? So I just kind of like the fact that we're able to be in these spaces again to really learn from, extract the things that we can, and then apply that in our everyday life. So I think that's the best way that we can celebrate the contributions of diverse voices.
Agreed. And also, like, always paying it back and saying, like, you know, I was inspired to do this because I saw the work done by Madam CJ Walker or done by this person, and they kind of laid the groundwork, and I saw like what they were able to accomplish with such little resources. And then I took, you know, I built upon that idea, added my own twist to it, and ran with it. Like, there's so many, that's another good thing too. Like, there's so many black hair care brands now, which is amazing. And they all offer like very distinct and very different things, which I love. Like, you have, like, I use various brands because this brand has, for me, the best, you know, curl cream. This brand has the best hydrating mask. This one has the best clarifying shampoo. And like, they all work together, which I love. But like, there's certain reasons. I cannot think. They were on Shark Tank. Creole Essence. It's a Haitian brand, and I love a lot of their stuff. They have great body products. They have like goat's milk shampoo and conditioner, but they took like what's been going on and they like put their own cultural twist. So they put ingredients that they source from Haiti directly. So that's putting back, pouring back into Haitian economy, a nod to their own ethnic and cultural background, but then also they have amazing products for hair. And so like those types of things to me, it's like, if I came out with a hairline, I'd be like, this is literally a culmination of all the amazing products I've used over the years. And like all the people who were there in the trenches when people were starting to go natural. And, it was like, I always joke, like, it's kind of like natural hair in the Black community has been like a theme, like it'll go in phases. And I feel a lot more women are natural now than ever, but just knowing that like, there's so many options and so many great options, like almost, I can't think of a company that has like a bad overall rap. Like it may not be great for my hair, but I can find it, like Liam can use it, or the babies can use it, or someone can use it. So just paying a nod to, or just nodding back to the people who came before and making sure you acknowledge that even if you're doing something in the same lane or in the exact same lane, that there were people who did it before you that helped to pave the way for you to get there as well.
Yeah, I love that. That's the beauty about nostalgia, is you get to look both ways. You get to look back, but you also get to look forward.
Ooh. We're looking both. We're crossing the road. Ooh.
I love that. All right, so we're wrapping up today's episode. Specifically, again, we're talking about all the things around tech, nostalgic innovations that shape today's creative landscape. Cicely, is there anything else you want to add to the conversation?
No, I love the conversation around nostalgia, and I just think it's one of those things where it's unfortunate that a lot of the things that we had as kids or young adults, young teenagers, that just aren't around for kids now. Like one thing I think that we had a better grasp on, and like, I always joke that millennials have literally been doing this forever. Like social media was created by millennials. Like it really was.
Yes.
And like we've been using it since its inception. Like we created it, we've been using it. We are social media at this point. But I feel that a lot of those like communities, like the Tumblr community, oh my God, what was it? There was a blog. I can't ever think of the name. It was like a little open blog thing. Like, that was like the original burn book.
And MySpace and oh my gosh, yes, all of
like
it. Live Journal.
Yes. And so like, that was the original burn book. That was like one of the originators in that sort of realm, but it was very interesting. And like the kids today just don't have that. And like I don't know, we had like, I feel the perfect blend of being able to socialize in person, but still having that online outlet and online community as well. Or you might have your school friends, but then you could go home and you could be with a part of like a group of blurs or a group of gamers at home. And like the two never even had to cross necessarily. So I think it's really interesting that now kids kind of have one or the other, but they don't have that blend of both.
Yeah, I love this. Oh my gosh. Okay, so to kind of wrap up, if you guys have thoughts or memories around the things that we said today, if there was something that we said that triggered like a memory, a nostalgic piece of tech, let us know in the comments. I would love to follow up with you all as we finish out the episode. So we want to thank you for tuning in to the More Than Graphics podcast bonus episode. For exclusive emails and comprehensive episode details, visit us at mtgthepodcast.com, and don't forget to connect and comment with us on social media. Remember that you're more than graphics, and will continue to be a space that ignites your life to be more than ... Until next time, everybody.
And just like that, the episode ends, but the convo has just begun.
Thanks for listening to the MTG podcast.
We want to hear from you. If you enjoyed our podcast, give it a review on your listening app of choice.
Continue to follow us across MTG social.
And look out for bonus content releases throughout the year. This podcast is produced by Octane Design Studios.
Until next time, friend.